Hi, this is Scott with Specter Gear, and for today's video, I'm going to be once again jumping back into talking about the Mini-14. And you may have noticed that the series that I was doing regarding the Mini-14, I kind of took a little bit of a break there. And the reason for that hiatus was entirely due to the Bruin decision. With the Bruin decision coming down, there was a lot of hype and excitement, and a lot of people that based on what the internet legal experts were saying, they were firmly convinced that the Bruin decision was going to sweep aside all of the onerous assault weapons and high-capacity magazine restrictions in the states that they lived in. And unfortunately, I didn't at the time, and still don't believe that that's going to be the case. But I didn't want to be like that guy that steps in and right about the time everyone's all, happy and excited, say, nah, you might want to take a wait and see approach on that. I didn't, look, when someone's having a good time, last thing I want to do is go and crap in the punch bowl. So, but to be completely honest with you, and this is just my own personal opinion, it's not based on any particular level of legal knowledge. It's just based on my eyeballs and my ears and what I'm actually seeing them doing and hearing them talking about. I don't believe the state of California, where I live, is going to allow that to happen under any circumstances. There have been times in the past where certain laws have been overturned, but it's usually immediately after their implementation. For instance, we had an ammunition restriction one time that was immediately overturned because it was considered to be vague and unenforceable. Trust me, they didn't let that go, because they came back and they still got what they needed to get done a couple of years later. They just did it differently, and they made it actually worse than it was before. So in terms of the state of California accepting a decision like that, I have to wonder if they would even do that. And I don't necessarily, because now we're talking not just a state, but a region. When you talk about the Ninth Circuit, if you look at how they handled the cases that were returned to their court for review, and they were told to use strict scrutiny or whatever they call it. Again, I'm no legal expert like some of the other guys on the internet, but rather than interpret based on look at the cases as they were heard before, rather than look at those cases, apply the different scrutiny to their decision, instead they just kicked them back and told them retry the case. Judge Benitez, who's handling all of this, he's kind of fast tracking it, because right away California wanted to drag their heels and they wanted extensions so that they could work on their argument, and on it goes. Benitez wasn't having any of that. I expect if a decision hasn't already been made, it'll be made fairly soon, and it'll go up to the Ninth Circuit again. Now here's where the rubber's going to meet the road. The Ninth Circuit is going to do one of two things. They're either going to interpret based on the way they want to, and they're going to be in open defiance to the Supreme Court, which would be no surprise to anyone, or they'll interpret based on the new interpretation. But even if they do the new interpretation, what's to say the decision, they're still not going to overturn it? So a lot of people that are getting super excited, and they think that Bruin is some kind of magic wand. Look, we were told this with Heller. We were told this with McDonald. We've been told over and over again, oh, this Supreme Court decision is the one that'll stop them. It never does. So if something does happen, if they overturn the assault weapons ban, I'll make a video and say, you know what, I was absolutely wrong. Congratulations. And I'll probably show you some new gun that I purchased. I don't think that's going to happen. So what we need to look at is continuing to operate under our current set of circumstances. Now, when it comes to the Mini-14, one thing that's nice about the Mini-14, but before I say this, I will tell you this. The Mini-14 was a very popular carbine before any assault weapons bans were even a thing. Now, it was then, by virtue of the fact that it was a good deal less expensive than an AR-15, but offered you the same round being delivered. There were other reasons for the popularity of the Mini-14, and that should be a video in and of itself. But there's no denying that the Mini-14 tends to be fairly popular in states that have a lot of gun restrictions, because it tends to be a rule beater. It doesn't have the flash suppressor, doesn't have the pistol grip, doesn't have the collapsible or folding stock, doesn't have a grenade launcher, doesn't have a number of things that by characteristic would make it an assault weapons ban subject to regulations, or an assault weapon subject to regulations. So The Mini-14, like I said, tends to be popular. But that's not the sole reason for its popularity. There have been other guns that have come and gone that were meant to beat the California assault weapons ban restrictions, and they were junk and they were rejected just because of that. There's a couple that immediately come to mind. The Kel-Tec SU-16 is one of those. It looked to be something, you know, it would take AR mags. It had a number of things that were attractive features, but the gun was just is flimsy and it's not well made, and like a lot of Kel-Tec products, it looks great, but it doesn't work very well at all. Just is what it is. But the Mini-14 stays perennially popular. So the intent of this video from this point forward is post-Bruen. So if things go the way I think they're going to go and nothing changes, the Mini-14 stays in my battery. If the Bruin decision comes down and they say, hey, you can go nuts with your guns, what would that change for me personally in light of the Mini-14? What it would mean is I'd be shortening the barrel, I'd be putting a flash suppressor on, I'd be putting a folding stock on it. That's it. I'd still be running the Mini-14 because the Mini-14 continues to be my most dependable and reliable carbine that I have, and that's against several AR-15s and a couple of other guns that I commended. Well, the M1A I think gives us a run for the money in terms of reliability and dependability, but the the M1A is a good bit heavier, longer, more difficult to carry. The Mini-14 for me is just kind of magic. I like it, always have liked it, and will continue liking it, whether there's an assault weapons ban or whether there isn't an assault weapons ban. But something I'll mention to you guys out there. If you are paying attention to the news right now, you know, look, with each video that I do, both here and on the radio channel, I did one not long ago about, it was basically undercover good guy gear. I talked about, you know, keep getting your low profile kit together. And that was more geared towards civil unrest and potential, you know, CW2 kind of activity. Since then, we're on the brink of World War III. I mean, look, it's 25 years ago, any one thing that happened last Tuesday would be enough to talk about for an entire year. Right now, that's just the shit that went down last Tuesday. Since then, how many other things have occurred? The scope and scale of things that are going on right now in the world is completely out of control. I mean, I don't understand why the lid is still on and the wheels are still on the bus. I don't understand how that's happening. I think we're struggling to get across the finish line, but at some point something's going to give, and all it's going to take is the wrong thing to happen, and we could be looking at freaking World War III, for heaven's sake. Now, will it go to nuclear weapons? I don't know. Who wants to be the person that ends the world? Nobody. So does it become a conventional thing? I think it could. Now, if we're talking a World War III situation, I want you to think for a second. When is the last time the United States faced an adversary with global reach, had an air force, had a sizable air force, had airborne troops, and not just one country, but two countries that have these capabilities? They've got navies, they've got air force, they've got paratroopers. They have the ability to actually pull off that Red Dawn scenario. Will that happen? Hey, look, if we go in and we start knocking down targets in Russia, they're going to start knocking down targets in the United States, and then we will genuinely be testing that rifle behind every blade of grass theory. Will it happen? I don't know, but is it tinfoil hat wearing time to suggest that it might? I don't think so. I know if I were to talk about these events 25 years ago, people would consider me to be a nut. Talking about them now, I don't have to talk about them. I can just turn on the nightly news. I can look in any direction and hear people talking in mainstream news, on mainstream news channels, about the possibilities of civil war and World War III at the same time, on the same day, within the same hour. So all I'm saying is, whatever gear whatever guns you happen to have, it's like that saying, you dance with the date that you brought, right? So, or you dance with the girl that you brought with you, or however that goes. But the point being, if what you're currently rocking is a Mini-14, and you're hoping for an assault weapons ban to get overturned so you can buy this, that, or the other thing, you might need to do what you need to do with the Mini-14. So this would be my appeal to you. If you haven't gotten your carbine set up to where it's running good and it's got the right equipment on it, now is the time to get that done. Okay, as you see here, this is my Mini-14 in its usual arrangement. Got my light on there. Of course, I've got my sling, in this case a Raptor, Specter Gear Raptor 2-point sling. Got my buttstock mag pouch on there. And then, of course, I've got my usual selection of pouches. What I tend to run, if I'm doing some low profile kind of, you know, keeping it on the down low sort of thing, double mag pouch mounted on the belt. I've got my handgun. I've got my spare ammo for that. I've got some OC spray. I got my knives clipped in my pocket. This would be usually secreted within my vehicle. I've got a storage container for it under the back seat. But again, as I mentioned in the other video, it's easier to already have this on and just get to this and sling this gun up. That doesn't take very long. Stringing this onto your belt takes a bit of time. So having that gear already set and on you is a good idea. But suffice it to say, get your stuff tricked out now. Get what you need on that carbine. If later nothing happens, they overturn assault weapons bans, you can finally go get that whatever the heck you want to get. Terrific, wonderful. The world is great at that point. Is that going to happen? Doubtful. Are we going to be dealing with something weird at some point in the future? I would say 100%. What that is, I have no clue. Absolutely no clue. But I'm feeling it. Everybody I talk to is feeling it. Normal people that normally don't even talk along these lines are expressing genuine concern about the state of the world right now. So I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So with that, oh, I should also mention this stuff I just showed you, currently on sale, by the way. So now would be a perfect time to take advantage of that discount and go ahead and get your gun set up and set up properly. More on that in the future. The next video, I'm going to be back to talking just about the Mini-14, how to run the thing. In fact, I'm going to be going to the range tomorrow and doing some stuff with the Mini-14, so I'll have some video, some more Mini-14 centric video coming very, very soon. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. But just, I had this on my mind, wanted to get it out there and get to talking to people about it. Because, like I said, it's all fine and well to have a crap load of guns, crap load of ammo. There's a lot of other gear you need. In addition to the stuff on the gun, you need slings, mag pouches, etc. You also need food, med kit. Hopefully not iodine pills, but who knows. So I'm done. I'm going to bring it to a close at this point. Thank you for watching and or listening. And as I always mention, all of these products that I have mentioned that are Specter Gear products are manufactured right here in the United States in Visalia, California. So if you want more information about that, please visit the website at spectergear.com. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you. This is Scott from Specter Gear. Have a wonderful day.